Hi, and welcome, bitches. This is my clone. I am the OG.
I'm the bitch number 2.
But as Fifth Harmony once said, we are better together.
When we were together,
Today, we're going to talk about Robert Eggers'
Nosferatu.
Please introduce yourself, clone.
My name's Lavinia. And I'm top dog. No, I'm her twin sister.
Yes.
And I'm a cinephile, a better cinephile than her.
But we went to watch Nosferatu in the movie theaters. And we went dressed up as this. I did.
I went pretty. I didn't want to look like a clown.
But it was very fun. We had two different experiences because I had never seen or read Dracula before. So I had no contact with the plot.
Story.
Yeah, beforehand, but she did.
Yes, I read the book and I watched every movie. Zarg's movie, Murnau's movie, and even Paula's movie.
So my experience is different than hers, and to start this video off, we will share both of our experiences individually. We went to watch this movie with our friends. Anyway, welcome to the movie trial. Opening statements. The experience. Let's start by providing you with a short summary of what the story is, and Lavinia will do the honors.
Yeah, I'm gonna specifically talk about the story portrayed in Eggers' adaptation of Nosferatu, which is basically the same of every other movie except for Dracula, Coppola's. And, well, it pretty much copied the story and didn't add anything new to it, except the fact that it is very ugly. We meet, what's her name again?
I think it's Helen.
Helen. And she is married to Thomas. He's played by Nicholas Hoult. And Ellen is played by Lily Rose Depp, this bitch. And basically, she starts,
Não dá pra ver a Lily, peraí. Lily.
So basically, at the beginning of the story, we meet them. They're a couple. They're married. We are in Germany, in the time when Germany wasn't in the time when Germany wasn't really supposed to exist. So Thomas, he sells houses. He works to this weird fucking old man that keeps talking about how his wife is hot and stuff. Like, that could be me, but also no, because he has to sell a house to a old man called Orlok. And he has to go very far away to do that. His boss, Knox, sent him to Transylvania and has to go tell Ellen that he's going there. And she's all pissed because he's leaving her after they just recently got married. And she immediately wants to dump his ass and go back to Orlok. Because just after he leaves, she starts getting sick and hallucinations coming and all this stuff. That's lots of possession scenes. Lots of possession scenes and like a beautiful, amazing portrayal, like body acting and stuff by Lily Rose Depp.
So he goes to Transylvania, and there he meets a bunch of people who kind of act weird, and he's very creeped out by. They have these weird rituals that he testifies in the middle of the night, and the lady from the place which he is staying gives him a cross, although he does not believe in that kind of thing, crosses and figures, religious figures. The people there are trying really hard to convince him not to go further with this business trip that with the count, because they're very superstitious. They often talk something about vampirism and shit. He goes through it either way, and he meets the count. There's this scene where he gets into the carriage that is very creepy. The carriage is riding itself alone. It looks like he entered Silent Hill or something. And then he's led to the castle, and there he meets the count. The count has no employees, and he brings his luggage to his room all by himself. And he's very creepy. He speaks in a very weird voice like this. Yes.
With a very thick accent.
Yes. And Jonathan is already very creeped out by this man, as he should be. They have dinner together, and then he goes to sleep because obviously he just traveled a lot, so he's tired, and the count is like, you're going to rest, and tomorrow we'll talk business. And that's what he does. Mm-hmm. But As time passes in the castle, he starts experiencing weird stuff, very weird stuff.
Just like in the book.
Just like in the book, yes. He discovers bruises on his chest because the Count has been sucking on his nipples. The Count sees something kind of like a brochure, I don't know, with Helen's face.
The brooch, I think.
Yes, and he is immediately obsessed with it.
Yeah, like he recognizes that pussy.
Yeah. And then there's the famous scene where he finds the casket and everything, and the Count makes him sign some kind of contract that he cannot read because he doesn't know the language.
And he's fucking dumb, and he signs it anyway.
As things get even more weird, Jonathan realizes that he and Helen are in danger. Before the Count can get to Jonathan, Jonathan flees. He's lost in Transylvania and he's cared for by the Romanian people. As all of that is happening, the situation with Lucy is getting more and more out of hand. She's having hallucinations, she's having dreams, and as Count Orlok travels to Germany, right?
Yeah.
To Germany, he starts directly talking to her, and and he tells her, "You're going to accept me, or all of the people you love are going to pay for it."
Yeah, but that's a little bit ahead of the time, because first we meet the doctor. Yes, we also meet Anna, which is like a friend of Ellen.
Supposed to be Lucy.
She takes care of her friend, and it's a little bit lesbian to me. I think should have happened like when they're like sleeping in bed, and she goes like, I love you, or something like that. I don't know, like that. They should have guessed, I think. But either way,
Jonathan left Helen to be cared for by his friend Frederick and his wife Anna, who's a big friend of Lucy, Helen. They hire a doctor to see if he can figure out what's happening to Helen. He can't, so he summons his very old friend, who was also his teacher, to see if he can find out what's wrong with Lucy. And of course, that is Van Helsing, played by Willem Dafoe. His name is not Van Helsing, but in the book it's Albin, but in the book it's Van Helsing, and that's what I'm gonna call him. Van Helsing immediately attests that problem with Helen is not that of a It's not that of a psychological nature. He tells Frederick and Anna that she might be possessed. No, he's sure. She says no. Yeah, and he says she is possessed.
Yes, and here's where Eggers were supposed like to build this tension, or tries to build this tension between like seeing the world through a rational gaze, which is like represented by the character of Frederick. I don't know, Frederick, and like the occult, believing in the occult and all that stuff. It's a nice conversation to have. Like, it's very present in modern day movies, even older ones, the most classic horror movies, but like it doesn't develop in that direction, unfortunately. The plague comes.
Oh yeah, so as the ship with all of Count Orlok's caskets are coming in from Transylvania to Germany, a plague also comes, because he's like a plague, so he brings rats and disease to Germany. And people are starting to get sick and shit. And even Anna gets sick one night.
In this movie, the plague is not really a topic.
It's not relevant because...
Yeah, it's not really relevant.
Anna gets the plague, but the other night she dies. And she's killed by Count Orlok, so...
Yeah, and we're going to talk about like the differences, right?
Count Orlok has arrived, so has the plague. People are getting sick. And as I said earlier, he immediately goes to talk to Helen, and warn her, if you don't give in to me
in 3 days,
3 nights started from this one, I will kill all the people you love. Of course, she is very desperate, but she does not want to give in to him because he is ugly as hell.
Like, she holds on to that thought of like, Thomas saved me from the past life, he accepted me the way I was.
And we find out also that Helen has already had contact with the Count before. Apparently, she was so horny and had no one to talk to, had no man,
She was so
no woman.
She was so solemn.
She was depressed and alone, and so she summoned the demon.
She should have summoned Kate Winslet.
She should have summoned a lesbian.
Yes,
but instead she summoned Count Orlok. But when she discovered that he was an ugly bitch, she was like, sin. Her father also found that she was having relationships with the devil. Then she married Thomas, and she stopped being haunted by Orlok, so she thought she was cured by her love for him. And that's why Count Orlok came back for her, because they had a previous connection. Anyway, Anna dies, and Frederick also dies of depression, and Van Helsing is trying to help all of them, but people keep dying, and then Jonathan comes back, but he's also useless. Van Helsing is doing some research, and he finds a book that talks about one Nosferatu. He discovers that to free the city from that plague, the woman who summoned him must willingly surrender to him and save everyone.
Distract him with his horniness.
And make him forget about the sun coming up and
being focused on the titties, not the sun.
He talks to Helen, basically persuades her to sacrifice herself for the greater good. He makes a plan with the doctor and Thomas, who is now back, to kill the count, to find his grave and kill him. But that is just a distraction for Helen to make the sacrifice.
Oh, feel me.
And they go at night. I don't know why they would do that, because it doesn't make sense why they would go at night, but it makes sense for the plan that they're trying to do. I think the ending makes sense to me.
To me, it doesn't, because I know that in every movie the count is defeated the same way. Like, the woman is always sacrificing herself. But I really think Nosferatu 2, but also Herzog's movie.
But not Dracula, not the book, not the Coppola movie.
You know, they could have just waited for him to sleep,
and then go in
daylight. They can go
give him the old treatment. You know, the stake to the heart, the cutting out the head. What happened to that? Anyway, they do find the casket, but of course the count is not on his casket because it's night. He's out and about. And who's in the casket instead? It's Knock. He became crazy. We forgot to talk about that, but he became really crazy because he was a servant to the count, and he was waiting to become a vampire, a Nosferatu.
Himself, yes.
They kill Knock, and Van Helsing starts burning shit and laughing like a crazy man, as Thomas realizes that it was all a hoax to get Helen to do the sacrifice. And she is there sacrificing herself. Thomas runs, but he gets there too late because it's already day. The monster is already sucking on those titties. And then he burns, and
that should be me.
It's a crazy scene.
Very horrible.
I loved it. His little legs at the end.
It's disturbing, but also it's kind of laughable, I think.
Yeah.
Because if you really think about it, Nosferatu's figure was like shrinking into this horny beast, and he doesn't have like those really interesting aspects that he had in the past in relation to the historical context of the movies and stuff.
Now basically that is the end. The only survivor is the cat.
Cat's always surviving ever since the Egypt.
What we should talk about now is our individual experiences, and I'm gonna start with mine. As I said, I did not watch anything prior, did not know the story. It was my first contact ever with the Nosferatu storyline. I thought the movie was really dramatic. It was 2 hours long. Of course, there were lots of cool shots, like the scene with the carriage. It's very creepy, although I thought it was a bit too dramatic too.
But also, like, if it felt out of place.
It's my experience.
Yeah.
My experience.
Sorry.
Yeah, it felt a little out of place. It felt like it didn't match the other scenes. It did. Mm-hmm. I believe that's why this scene caught my attention the most. After the movie was done, I was like, yeah, I think that was okay. But I went to watch the other movies with this bitch. I got tired of the story pretty quickly. We watched Coppola's movie.
Yeah, that movie.
I also watched by myself the 1922 Nosferatu. You know, that movie was way shorter, but I was getting tired of the story already so much. And still, I read the book. and I had the realization that I did not like. I don't think I like the movie as much after reading the book, because I really wish they would make a better adaptation of the book. This movie has some things to it that are like innovative, I guess, but I don't really know if I like the things that are new about it. And that was basically my experience. I think that the movie was fun at first watch, but I would not watch it again. I would much rather watch the original, because it's like an hour shorter. So basically.
Yes. So there's like a difference between watching it right after having rewatched all the other movies, and there's a difference between, you know, watching it after, like she did. You will end up not liking Eggers' movie because it leans a lot into, you know, some the aesthetics and of the expressionist Murnau's movie. It has like nods to shadows and stuff, the way the characters are filmed. So as I was watching this movie in the theater, after having rewatched every movie, I felt like it was an overall enjoyable experience. It was also like fun to look around and see like old people, because there was an older lady beside me, and her reactions to the movie made it better for me. Like that's
when the two kids died, she was very shocked.
Yeah, she was so shocked. It wasn't boring as people say. I don't think the movie was boring, but I think sometimes it was a little stretched out. Some very dark scenes. I know the purpose is to emulate the look of the movie as to reminds us of the expressionist aesthetics of
It's a nod to the original.
Yeah, it's a nod to the original. The shadows are also a very prominent thing. This movie, there's some interesting scenes like the hand of Dracula's,
that was
like
cool
hovering over the city. That's very cool. The things that really put me off in this movie was just the new elements that Eggers basically introduced, and the way the movie looked overall, because it was, as I said, it has some interesting scenes, but it was an overall ugly movie.
That's what you said. And you know what? What was that? Okay, James.
The movie already starts off with the scene where Ellen is moaning, and there's a lot of moaning in this movie. A lot of sexual connotation. People on Twitter, of course, of all places, were, you know, very conservative about that stuff. I don't know what they expected, to be honest. I don't know why you would expect a horror movie to be conservative and why you would want that. But they were very shocked and were not pleased. The Eggers chose to give this approach to the movie, like more of a sexual thing, through the connection between Ellen and Nosferatu.
I was also not pleased. I felt very unhorny.
Of course, that some of the scenes were fun to watch.
Funny.
Were fun.
Funny.
Fun.
In this movie, one thing that's changed is the connection between Ellen and Nosferatu. Because in this movie, it adds something, like it adds a new layer, not a really good layer to add. The whole reason this is happening is because of her, and because she was horny.
Eggers wraps this story in a way that it's very much because Helen is literally coerced by Van Helsing to sacrifice herself. It's said that she is the only one who can stop Nosferatu, because she was the one who summoned him. So basically, it's blaming her for not being able to control her desires and to behave, not being able to be a good wife, to be a good woman for that period standards.
Yeah, and I feel like this is very prominent in Eggers' work, because if you think about it, in this movie it's kind of implied that patriarchy, like her giving into patriarchal, I don't know, norms. By marrying Thomas, she's saved, and that's something that she also believes, but then her desires are just not erasable. That's why Orlok comes back and her marriage falls apart. And it's partially Thomas, you know, disregard for his wife and just him wanting to gain money and be like a good provider per se. Like he knows the woman he married, but he leaves her even after she begs him not to. There's also like some similarities to other movies, Eggers movies, which I don't like The Witch. Like that's a movie very praised, and I also praised it for a little while. The way he talks about femininity and giving in to desires is like a demonic thing.
What would you do if when you okay so he said yes would go?
So this movie pretty much is just another Nosferatu. It's just another Dracula. The way that Eggers chose to do this movie makes me question if it was really necessary when we have like some beautiful and innovative takes from Herzog and even Coppola's movie, because it takes directly from the book source, and Nosferatu is like a movie inspired and copied a lot of things, but also was very different the way it progresses, right? He chose to put in all the obligatory scenes, like the scenes in the boat, the scenes of the plague,
the
like
ship scene was
the ship scene, yeah, and it like it's just some random dude getting killed by
Dracula?
by the count.
By the count.
It wasn't really necessary to be there, but he wanted to do the Nosferatu movie, and the Nosferatu movie has to be the Nosferatu movie.
Has to follow the guidelines of a Nosferatu movie.
Yes, the way he directs this movie is not. It doesn't have like an end point. You know, it's just some scenes that he filmed that was obligatory, and some scenes that he filmed to look like art. Art being art is not a compliment. You call art an art is just you calling it by what it is. You know, it's art. He filmed things in a way kind of seemed like it was supposed to go to those like cinematography pages, and he's supposed to be called like a gothic director.
The other thing that differentiates this movie from other Nosferatu movies is that Eggers tried to stray away from the anti-Semitism in Nosferatu's appearance, and in that sense he was very faithful to the Dracula book. With the mustache and with the clothing and everything, tries to stray away from the big nose, the white skin, and the association with plague. It was a very common image used to represent Jewish people to make them seem less human.
But it ended up like kind of looking ugly.
He could have done that and also do some innovative thing with the storyline. He could have done more with the movie. That's why I think I was kind of disappointed. Let's go to closing arguments and jury's verdict.
Thought it was okay. If you want to watch this movie instead of watching the old ones, I would say don't do that. I would say watch the old ones. But if you really don't want to, if you really feel like I don't want to watch a silent movie. If you really feel like you can't
take a silent movie, maybe you should go for
Eggers. If you're not a cinephile, you just enjoy watching movies. This movie...
You might want to watch this movie with your friends, though.
Yeah, this movie is enjoyable. Like, it's not that it is boring and stuff. Like, it can be boring for people that don't like to watch long movies, because this movie is like it's a 2 hour run. The scenes can be really stretched out just to look beautiful, just to look good, but...
so get yourself a really big bucket of popcorn with a lot of butter. Get yourself lots of friends if you don't have one.
And if you can drink something that's alcoholic, also do that.
If you're into that, get stoned.
Watch with low lights to match the movie's atmosphere. But you know, if a movie to be enjoyable has to like
go through all of this ritual.
Like it's not a movie that's worth it for me. Like I think I can just discard it and go watch Herzog's movie, which is so much better, or Murnau's movie.
So I guess the jury's verdict for this could be: should we declare this movie innocent? Yes or no?
No, I don't think it's innocent. It's kind of offensive to me.
I guess.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, but we could give it a mild sentence.
Yeah, just a mild sentence.
Die.
No, and the sentence I think should be social work.
Some social work.
Cleaning streets or some shit.
Yeah,
that's the sentence.
Emilia Perez, just give back our money.
Out of topic. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Thanks for suffering through all the rambling.
I'm not good at boiling down my thoughts. I don't know why she called me.
It's because it's Brazilian witches, not Brazilian witch. We will be doing some other shit together.
Yeah.
We hope she gets better at speaking.
The next video will be better because we're gonna talk about a movie that I'm very good at talking about, which is The Substance.
And it's going to be
Better.
controversial.
Better.
Bye.
Remember when I hated my life and I said I didn't want to die, but I did.